how we hear, amplitude, and frequency. So there are two aspects of a waveform, a sound wave, that help define what we are hearing, and that is amplitude and frequency. Now, amplitude, what is it? Amplitude is the amount of variation from a resting position that a sound wave has. So it's the amount of pressure that is embedded into that sound wave. So as a sound wave is pushing, if there's more pressure, then it's pushing that wave at a greater distance back and forth. And so if it's bigger and there's more pressure, then it will be louder. If it is smaller and there's less pressure, then it will be softer. So when something is dynamic, or we call it dynamic, that means that it has a tendency to get loud and soft. So it's going to have times where there's more pressure or more volume, and times where there's less volume. Now, in real life, audio that's occurring around us in real life is very dynamic. There are things that are really loud and things that are really soft that are occurring around you. And your ear is kind of making up for that and adjusting those differences of things being louder and being softer. When you have recorded audio, you're putting it through an amplifier, putting it through speakers, and in order for you to avoid having to adjust the volume knob all the time, our recorded audio is controlled and limited in its dynamics. And that is because if it was as dynamic as regular day life, you'd be turning that volume knob up and down all the time, because something would get quiet and you'd turn it up, and then it would get loud and you would turn it down. And so we do that for you in the mixing process to adjust those dynamics so they're more controlled and less dynamics, and that's why we have dynamics processors. Now, the other aspect of sound is frequency, and frequency defines pitch. So frequency is the amount of vibrations per second that occur in a sound wave. So if there are more vibrations per second, you've got a higher frequency. A moderate amount of vibrations per second, you've got mid or mid-level frequencies. And if there's less vibrations per second, you have low frequency. Now, the thing that's confusing here is we're not just listening to one frequency or one pitch at a time in real-life audio. When you're hearing my voice, you are hearing the fundamental frequencies of what I'm saying, which is the loudest frequency that you're hearing. So if I hum, that low frequency there, that one that you're hearing the most, that's the fundamental frequency, and that does have a simple waveform for it. But there are harmonics above that, so there's high pitches in there, there's mid pitches, and there's low pitches all together. All these frequencies stacked together, and those are called harmonics. So in audio, we have equalization, which gives us control over these frequencies. So because my voice is not just producing one frequency, and it's producing a whole range of frequencies that are all low, mid, and high, I can go in and I can adjust the level of these different frequencies and make the high frequencies sound brighter or higher, turn them up. I can take and turn down the low frequencies and make my voice sound thinner. And so that's kind of how we can manipulate some of the sound that we hear, because when we are listening to sound, we hear amplitude and frequency, and therefore when we're mixing, we want to control amplitude and frequency.